Hi, this is Jason Long with Long Talks Video Podcast. I have the pleasure to be live with Rasunn Bryant and Tim Montgomery of the Joliet Ravens. Tonight we're going to discuss leadership skills and how it pertains to the youth sports going up through the high school levels. So once again, please help me welcome Rasunn Bryant and Tim Montgomery to the show this afternoon. Tonight, what we're going to really go after is leadership in the youth sports and how it pertains going up from the junior high level throughout the high school level. And I brought on tonight Rasunn Bryant and Tim Montgomery. And one of the things we want to keep in focus going throughout tonight is the focus of leadership is born where the vision is captured. So tonight, I'm going to hand it over to Tim Montgomery and to Rasunn Bryant for our discussion this afternoon.
Good afternoon. As you said, one of our topics, of course, is leadership, and leadership transcends over not just the workforce, but also into sports and all different categories in between. Tonight, we're going to touch on a few different topics and explain leadership in general, and then how it relates to youth sports. Going from there, I'm going to go ahead and let Rasunn speak on the leadership.
How y'all doing? I'm Rasunn Bryant, Joliet Ravens 13U. For leadership, to me, it really starts at home, parents, and then it goes to the coaches. So leadership is very important leading into the high school level. You don't want to leave your kid without leadership, because at the end of the day, that's going to carry them into the next level. You have to still take care of actually these precious jewels.
Exactly. And so how do we go from, let's just say, from a 5th or 6th grade athlete to a, let's just say, what you guys are doing is dealing with up to an 8th grade athlete, is how are you taking those young kids in from a diverse lifestyle? Because like we talked about earlier before the show actually recorded, is you may have 25 kids from 25 different lifestyles, from the homes they come from the parents they come from the development, from where they're at mentally, physically. It's how do you deal with that going forward, and then dealing with once they leave you as an 8th grade level going forward. It's a huge task. It's a huge task, especially with 2 coaches, let alone, being a single coach.
Well, leadership develops daily. It's not done in a day. Meaning that every day we get the opportunity, and not just the opportunity, I believe we're blessed to coach the kids that we get to coach. And like you say, yes, it's diverse and everyone's from different communities, but we all come together for a common goal. And to be able to come together for a common goal, we have to have that influence over these kids so that they buy into what we're trying to do. And like I always said, leadership is about influence, nothing more, nothing less. And also it's about respect. We respect those kids and what they're going through. We genuinely care about people. You have to. They know fake love, so you can't give these kids no fake love.
Right.
They know that we genuinely care about them, and there's one thing that they always say about like coaching. When we're going to tie coaching into this, you can coach a kid hard as long as they know that you love them.
Right.
They'll go through a brick wall for you, but you can't just like the old school coaching where you just yell, and call them all sorts of names. That doesn't work anymore.
Which, like we said, the kids don't care how much you know till they know how much you care.
Exactly.
Which is it. So going forward with you guys is we always have that saying that it takes 10,000 hours to develop
Proficient.
a leader, and that equates to 3 years, which it breaks down to the what and the how and the duplicate. And so, in your guys' terms, like when you get a kid in that's raw, that you're trying to evaluate what they have, versus, and really, you guys have about 3 years. I mean, sixth, seventh, eighth grade, uh, right in the division that you guys have. So, how do you guys, when you get them in to where they're ready to go on to the high school level, do you guys try and duplicate or teach your leadership from the time you get them to the time that they leave you and go into the high school level?
Pop.
Well, when we get them in a raw, we try to work with them and we try to put them with the best talent so we can actually know where they're at. I think we had a few kids that a lot of people wouldn't say they deserve to be on our team. And what we did with them, we put them with the best. We worked with them, and you looked up, and these kids made major plays because they practiced
You
hard.
guys take over.
They
You
came to
guys take
play,
over from here.
and every time
Okay.
you looked up, these kids was prepared because they
I will.
came to
I'll let you
practice.
guys.
That's the biggest thing about leadership. You put them with the kids that they actually look up to, and once they get the confidence in them to believe that they can play against them, they're ready to play against anybody. Confidence is everything, and we try to make sure that our kids, that are day one kids, are prepared against our best players.
Gotcha.
Yeah, just tying in and piggybacking off of what he's talking about is by pairing those kids together, we get to see right away what that kid's talent level is, how raw they actually are, and what they need to work on. And one thing I'll say about coaches, most coaches are born leaders, and as you know, people buy into the leader, then they buy into your vision. And once they buy in, you could use multiple different schemes and ways you want to set things up, to move forward and advance. Some of our focus is going to be on how we sacrifice, because we have to give up something to go up. Me as a head coach, I have to give up a lot of my regular responsibilities to go up. Before Rasunn came on board, it was a few times that I had to actually take over certain things in certain games, and at the same time, we have to make adjustments on the fly. And also, being a leader, you have to be a decision maker. I tell them all the time, and like I said, they have empowerment to do what they need to do and what they need to say. Sometimes we might bump heads on certain things, and I always tell them, at the end of the day, everything falls on me. But I always tell them, I'll make the decision and I'll live with it.
Right.
And there was one that almost cost us in nationals, but we came back. But
So, in the three-step approach, let's try and do this because I think we can all be on the same page. On the three-step approach that I have is, as a freshman, sophomore, junior, as a sixth, seventh, eighth grader, it's always broken down into what, how, and duplicate. And we talked about this earlier, as far as the what is, what type of leader do you want to be, whether it's on the field or off the field. How do I encourage? How do I motivate, empower people? And the third is duplicate, which is what we talked about, is your seniors or your eighth graders duplicating onto your sixth, seventh, eighth graders to reciprocate what you taught without having to reinvent the wheel again and again, I've always said what you have to do has to be duplicatable. So, how are you guys implementing this on your kids now? I mean, you guys have had great success. You know, great success. So you're obviously doing something right. So if another team is looking in or another athlete's looking in, how are you guys doing this? Because you guys are having success. So obviously something is working out well for you guys in the Juliet Ravens.
Alright, well, alright, first I'd like to give a shout out to our president, Francisco Bermudez, because he actually does a great job with making sure that we're where we're supposed to be, but also what I believe that needs to happen this year is I think that these 3 years that we've had with these 7th, 8th graders, that I think that to give back and keep that wheel going, we need to allow the 6U to actually be coached by younger kids and just train with them. I mean, older kids. And actually train with them. It don't matter if it's just calisthenics, stretches, and those things build character because, believe it or not, your big brother means a lot to you. It builds confidence in them to see a two-time national champ telling you what to do. And that's the way I think that these wheels need to turn in youth football because these 8th graders only going to be 8th grade once. Then before you know it, they're going to be off the field. But before they leave, they need to give back. And, you know, we taught them step 1, 2, and 3. So those steps they can easily teach back to 6U. This is a blessing to be able to be a two-time champion. And
So let me interrupt you for a minute. So you're basically talking about getting a return on investment, basically.
exactly.
Okay. Okay. And just making sure we're on the same point. Okay.
I think right now in our generation, we need to have, because like they say, there are so many American idols, and I believe that the 13U for the Joliet Ravens this year are American idols for the Joliet Ravens organization. I think everybody in the program looks up to the accomplishments that these kids have set out and accomplished. And once that the 6U, the 7U, everybody get a grasp of it, they're gonna get some of their glow. And I think right then is where you turn that wheel. One thing that I've noticed, the Joliet Ravens do a great job of actually keeping a close net on all their kids. And so as coaches, I just feel like we can do the same thing and bring it back to the organization 10 times fold because this is one of the best organizations that I've been to. So I'm looking forward to this year, and I'm looking to turn the wheel back to some raw talent in 6U and letting our youth give back to their youth.
So Tim, how many players do you have coming back that is going into their 8th grade year through the Juliet Ravens?
Okay, I'm gonna explain something first because
Okay.
you guys are going 6th, 7th, 8th. We go year by year. So they play with their age group. 13U play 13U 12, so they don't play together.
Okay.
So we've had the same group of kids for the last 3 years. Give or take, add somebody or subtract somebody. So it doesn't. It's not like, let's say the high school freshman year on up. You can play any level. Where we play at, you play with your age group.
Okay.
So it's kind of difficult to what you're saying, duplicate everything, because we don't have a organizational playbook to where everybody runs the same plays from this grade on up. Like in Texas, yeah, they do that. They run the same plays all the way up. That's why when they get to high school, their teams are so tough because they run those same plays over and over and over.
Okay.
Would we like to do that? Yeah. eventually, hopefully, the organization will get to that point. I mean, my offensive coordinator right here, so he's been putting up 40 points a game. So he's doing something right? You know,
Something.
You putting up 40 points a game, they should. Well, he probably won't give his playbook up, but
Right.
Anybody can get it, baby. Anybody can get it.
but yeah, that's one of the things.
Next year.
And what was the second part of that?
I don't know.
That might have been what was the first part of that question that you were saying? I just wanted to make sure we got that part understood because that's a little different.
I don't even know. I don't even know. I know I just asked going forward through the 5th through the 8th grade is how the leadership goes from the 5th grade up through the 8th grade.
But hey, Jason, one thing I might can add to it is with me, I'm actually coaching one of the greatest talents that I've seen in my 39 years of living, and this kid's name is Davion Thomas. One thing that I actually do with actually the leadership role, I allow him to lead. And at a young age, most coaches want, well, let me not speak on what people do. What I do is I actually give the kid a chance to tell me what he sees. Half the time, he comes to the sideline, and the first question I ask is, what do you see? And he'll be the one to tell you the truth about it. And yeah, well, have such and such do this, and he's going to be wide open because they cheated on this way. I actually give my kids a chance to have a voice.
Right.
That's the biggest thing, because if I don't know your vision, how do I know you're a leader?
Right.
You know, and so to understand your vision is to give you a chance to tell me what you see.
And that's what I would like to, and we'll pause right there, and I'll have Brittany actually make a mental note of this, write it down, is that's a whole new topic I like to have with Tim and with you, is once you identify a leader, because you may have, you may go through 30 kids, and not everybody's a leader. You may want somebody to be a leader, you may need somebody to be a leader, but you may not have that leader. Like they may say, okay, I'm the leader, I'm going to try and do this, but once you know that you identified a leader and they've accepted that responsibility, and it's far and in between how you really, I want to say mature, how you nurture that person once you found that diamond in the rough, which it is. You know, I mean, we can all say we're leaders, but you know when you get that one person that has that special quality, that special attribute, that they're going to run through that brick wall that they say they're going to run through for you, and they come with all the qualities.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I would love to have a separate conversation on that, but go ahead with what you were going to say.
Well, you know, the kid is actually a proven leader. I think we was actually down a game, and the kid had a dislocated thumb, and all I can tell you is he fought through it. He sat out one play. His dad was on his side. He said no, he's gonna be ready. Give him a play. Popped it back in. And all I can tell you is, from that moment on, I knew what type of kid I had. Well, really before that, because he'd been playing through rough injuries and always show up for us. But at that moment, I knew that I was dealing with a type of kid that you actually don't take the moment from when you ask him and you let him mold you. As a coach, coaches can be molded by players. And believe it or not, it's all about just giving your kid the chance to tell you their vision.
Right.
Sometimes that as coaches, as parents, we tend to want to push our narrative on the kid. And this is the type of kid, he's humble, he's a blessing to be around. So at that moment, I knew what I was dealing with, and what I did is I just took the opportunity to actually allow him to take the game and win it for us because we ran the same play 3 times. And the kid came to the sideline. He said, "I don't know what's going on, coach. I ain't got it." I said, "Believe in yourself." I said, "We're gonna run the same play." I said, "You're gonna be wide open." We scored a touchdown that actually advanced us to the national championship. And that was because I knew that I had a leader. And at that moment, all he needed was a little push. He didn't need me to change direction. He didn't need me to instill a new play or trick play. He just needed an encouraging word. And believe it or not, leaders grasp that, and he's a leader. And that's the vision that his father and mother actually set out for him, and that's why we're a 2-time national champion.
Right. Leaders, they're not perfect. They're absolutely not perfect, and it's proven. I mean, you everybody needs that push, that right direction, especially with kids, into molding them into what we're looking at as far as leaders.
Right, let's not mistake this. You're talking about a generational talent with this kid, Davion Thompson. He's not your average kid. He's a back-to-back national champion in football, and he won the 7th grade and 8th grade basketball state champion back-to-back this year. So he won 7th grade, then turned around and jumped up to 8th grade, took that team and won the championship again. So we're talking about a generational talent. That's a name, Davion Thompson. You're going to hear that for years to come.
And is he 8th grade going into high school, or
Yep. He'll be 8th grade going into high school.
through what?
He still got one more year
Yeah,
on
he's coming to 8th grade.
Oh, so it'll be 8th grade this year.
Yeah.
Okay. So it'll be another year through the Julia Ravens then. Okay. Next is, what do you guys just take on this? Leadership is born, vision is captured. Just, and we didn't go through this before we actually talked. Just to take that quote, leadership is born where vision is captured. How would you guys relate that to your Joliet Ravens team, or the leadership that you guys are instilling in the individuals?
Well, like I said, I will say they had to buy in first. Once they bought into the vision, then the leadership of the players came along. Because now your top dogs on your team, they believe in what we're doing because we're winning.
Right.
So there's no questioning, what we're having them do, what schemes, what process we're putting them through, because they absolutely believe in what we're talking about. So we're no longer adding, we're multiplying.
So do you guys change your, I guess when, let's just say if I was you guys, I was a coach of the Joliet Ravens and I had losing seasons, my strategy as a coach is going to change. But now as 2-time champions, like, how do you guys go and say, okay, we need more? Because, you got to raise expectations. You got to require more out of the individuals. Your competition is going to continue to rise. So how do you guys, as adolescents, because I'm used to dealing with high school people, but as adolescents, how do you sit there and they say you can't get blood out of a turnip, but how do you keep raising expectations and keep the expectations high going into next season? Because you guys, you have everything to lose.
Uncle Mo.
Uncle Mo, hey man, whatever you want to call it, I'm just trying to keep it real. I'm just trying to keep it real.
Go ahead.
So you said leadership is born where vision is captured.
Correct.
Well, let me give you the vision. So we set out coming from 2 different organizations, coming from one of the best organizations or leagues in the south suburbs of Illinois. Me and Tim actually crossed paths. He was at Eastside Bulldogs, and they was some WCK champions. What, 2 3 years or 3 years in a row, Tim?
Yeah.
And I was at the University Park Lions. And what I tell you, this is the organization that was all about grind, and we won. But on Tim level, they had won that year. We had merged teams. Well, we didn't merge. Well, we took a few kids and we sprinkled into a Midwest, Monster of the Midwest tournament at Crown Point. And that's where the vision had happened. And so the vision had happened. And when that happened, Tim, another guy, Paris, we had all set out to do something special. Well, they had reached back, COVID had happened, and Tim reached out to me. Like you said, I couldn't coach. I didn't want to coach. I wanted my son to be coached by somebody else. And at that moment, I allowed my son to go over, and actually Tim will pick him up and go to the Jolly Ravens. And something magical happened that season, which was, it was a merge of kids that never played together. And so that was the vision. The vision was saw before we even knew where we was going. We didn't know that we was going to be Joliet Ravens before all of this. It was already a vision that Tim had thought, I had said, and it happened. Now, that the vision had happened, here's the leadership. Tim was man enough to come to me and ask me, and I denied it. And he spoke it again and spoke it again. And I actually came over, and Francisco Berita, the president, had allowed this merge to happen with a lot of different kids because the Joliet Ravens had actually had a great core. And that's how it happens because leaders actually sit back and they don't actually have an ego. And it was a blessing for all of us to come together and use all of this talent to get on a national stage. And y'all are just sitting back and watching something that's going to be created and talked about for a long time because this year is D1. And that's how it happened. So it just actually has to be about putting egos to the side because there's a lot of great things in Illinois, but there's a lot of egos. And until that happens, Illinois won't be looked at as a powerhouse. But we're actually a powerhouse. Just too many egos here.
Gotcha.
And that's on every sport level. That's not just football. Everybody wants to be great. And that's okay. But actually the key is put it on the field.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. You got Chicagoland area, 5 million plus, but you have so many organizations and within a 10-block radius. So a lot of the teams get watered down. You have the local teams and you have the teams who play in the Big Three, which is Top Warner, AYF, and UIFL, which we play in, are the top three. But as the last few years, they've been swallowing up the local teams and, bringing teams in. And some teams folded because of COVID and never recovered.
Hopefully we're over COVID right now.
Right. So, yeah, we put together a team of kids, like you said, from diverse backgrounds. And you wouldn't know that now. Because they're such a tight brotherhood, they don't see anything.
Right.
They're gonna fight for each other. When we had Davion play for the state championship in basketball, and this is not a race thing, but Davion's black.
Mm-hmm.
His white teammates from Manuka took that 2-hour drive to be there. You know what I'm saying? So,
Oh, to watch him after
to
the game.
watch him
I remember
play.
that. Yes.
So, I mean, so these kids love each other.
And
It's
actually-
it's not like we were talking before.
And reiterate that because that's huge. Reiterate that because I yes, I remember when that happened. So just reiterate that one more time here.
Yeah. So, you know, by them taking that trip to support their brother, that means the world.
That was after the game, correct?
No, they went to the game, and then after the game, yeah, they took the pictures and all that stuff.
Right after the okay,
Yeah.
right, yes.
But just having someone take that long drive,
To be there to support him,
right?
yes.
Because you know nowadays, shoot, people don't even drive around the corner or whatnot.
Right, yeah. Hell no, I ain't doing right. No, exactly.
But that's
Definitely a brotherhood with that Raven Light Nation, baby.
yeah. So
yes.
that's one of the things. I mean, and that's a testament not only to coaches, but I mean parents.
Okay.
You know, when you set your kid up to do the right thing, that means the world. And we try to support our kids wherever we can. Papa's went out to Indiana to watch some AAU games with some of our kids. I mean, Detroit, yeah, always Detroit, Michigan. So we try our best to be there when we can, and that speaks volumes.
So Rasunn, let me ask you a question here.
Hey, real quick, Jason, before you
Go
ask
ahead.
that,
Go ahead.
you have a two-part question.
Okay.
You said, how do you keep that going? You recruit great talent. And off a winning season, you recruit great talent. We have a kid from Naperville Patriots, Sean Rice. We have another kid from Kankakee, Jeremiah Stonewall. You recruit great talent to keep that tradition going. And that's how you keep it going. Winning draws winners. I mean, you don't shut the door. You keep it open, and you teach your kids that's surrounding you that I don't care where he played at last year. You don't shun them. He's a Raven now, and you welcome him, and that's how you keep that going. That's how you get prepared to go to the next level. You welcome any kid because it don't matter where you're from or who you are or what you did against us. When you put on that purple and black, that means everything. And as a coaching staff, you have to iterate that because kids will take from that, he was this, he was that. No. You're a Raven now. So wherever you're at, whenever you're recruiting or you're getting kids to go to the next level or keep the tradition going, then you make sure as a coaching staff, as a leader, that you allow your children, your students, your players to understand that it's okay in a work environment to be friends with them. And then you might get a brother. And that's how you rebuild. That's how you get better, because you have to let people know that it's okay to shake the hands of a former enemy.
Right.
And that's a blessing to be able to transition to somebody who was just your enemy.
So
Because at the end of the day, it's a friendly fire.
So let me ask the both of you this question, ending, and I don't know if it's even a fair question, but one of the questions that I was asked back in my days of management that I love because it actually shows the true colors is for both of you, just to answer this question, and we're not going to end on this, but is someone coming into the Joliet Ravens, is if I had to say, tell me who you are without telling me what you do. As far as coming into the Joliet Ravens, tell me who you are without telling me what you do. And I think, and I'll give you a minute, because I couldn't answer the question. You know, if someone's saying, tell me who you are without telling me what you do, it's really, really hard. And I'll break the question down because I don't think there's really a right question, or excuse me, a right answer into the question, but it basically differentiates between the passion for winning and the passion for the player going into the leadership role. So, and actually, we don't even have to answer that question because it's actually okay. Well, hey, most people hate that question because it's a hard question to answer. So, okay, I'll let you go ahead and go with it. I was going to try and disperse the question, but go ahead. I'll let you lead with it then.
I'm a dad with a son that's great in my eyes. They just want my son to be around other great kids. And that allows me to take 26 kids and make them be as great as him, or make them him be as great as them. I see no kid that I coach that's not my kid. I don't take my kid and I want him to be better. I just want him to be an equal.
Right.
I just want him to have a brotherhood because that's how I grew up. I grew up with young men that was my brothers. And I wasn't the most talented kid, and I wasn't the most, I wasn't the kid that sat on the bench. But I know this, that every brother looked at me like an equal. So within that, it came a brotherhood from leadership because they made us look at us as equal. So I come from that background, so I have to reciprocate it.
Right. Right. Which goes back to being duplicatable, which we talked about earlier. Which is, I always call it 3-4 year process, which is bringing them in young, and by the time they get 8th grade, that you've retained that core of people, and that you can reciprocate every 4 years. You know, just like whatever team that you're on, whether it's baseball, football, soccer, or whatever whatever you're doing, it has to be duplicatable.
That's true. Shout out to Hal Coleman, Greg Murray, Kirby Green, University Park Lions as a whole, because I'm a better man and I know how to get it back because of these individuals that was leaders in my life, and the things that they did for me. I have no choice but to give it back because I wasn't at that level until they brought me there.
Gotcha.
Now, what was that question again?
You want to ask me after a
Because y'all done
30-minute conversation?
Hey, because y'all segued into something else, and I'm like, yeah, I forgot the question. I'm like,
We're trying to help him out, man, because I tell you what, we're 30 minutes into a conversation. He could ask what the damn conversation was when we started,
no,
man.
what was the question? Is what I said.
What the damn question was, I don't even know.
Oh, man.
Man, I don't even know. We might as well just make something up.
You told me you was coming with the heavy shit.
He came with some crisscross ass shit that you and him talking about.
Man, Lord, we might as well just make something up and make it look good at this point, man.
No. Hold on. I'll tell you the question. The question was, hold on. Yeah, what was the question?
Oh yeah. Here, yeah. My wife just
move
told
on
me.
to the next question.
Tell me.
He
The
done went
question
through-
was, tell me who you are without telling me what you do.
Exactly.
My wife helped me out there. Thank you very much. Yeah. Come on now.
I'm good.
You're good. You don't even
I'm
want to
good.
address
He
it.
took too long. I'm good. I'm good.
All right. Oh man, this is why I have you on here. This is great, man. So let's go. I'll keep throwing stuff out unless you have something that you guys want to cover on your own.
Okay, I'm gonna go into a topic. Then you can get
Okay.
back to yours
All right.
because this is going to be a hot topic going forward. It's already into the college, the NIL, name, image, and likeness. It's dropped down into 3 states. I think it might be 5 states now, but at least 3 states have got this into high school.
let's pause for 1 second here.
It's more states than
Rasunn,
that.
Rasunn, we're gonna pause. We're gonna break because we're gonna break this up into 2 30-minute segments. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hit something. We're gonna break. I'm gonna pause and we're gonna come right back. So hold on 1 second. Don't pause.